Okay, so I'm going to spend the last probably 20 minutes to give you an overview of what we've done on Trion once again for the last 2 years. And then we'll open it up for a question. I'll answer the question if I can, or if I not, I will let you know. So before I start talking about Trion, I just wanted to remind everybody who is BHP. So BHP, we're a very large company, mainly a mining company with an oil and gas division. So we're actually extracting and processing mineral all over the world, mainly in Australia and in South America and potentially Canada. So the products are copper, iron ore, coal, nickel, and potash, which is fertilizer. That's something, the core business of the company. But obviously, I'm part of the petroleum business based in Houston, and we've got assets in Australia, in Trinidad, and in the Gulf of Mexico. And now, Gulf of Mexico, we've got some, obviously, on the US side. We've got 2 operated platforms like Shenzi and Neptune, and we've got some non-operated assets as well with Mad Dog Phase 2 and Atlantis. Obviously, now we're starting our journey in Mexico with Trion. So the main headquarters for BHP are in Melbourne, Australia, but they've got multiple centers in this country. And for the headquarters, like we discussed before, it's really like in Houston. So BHP is working under a shorter value. And for us, it's really about conducting our business with like integrity, respect, and make sure we deliver good performance or outstanding performance for the company. So that's very important. And as well, we are fully committed to protect the environment, the people. So no need to say that safety are priority number 1. But you've seen the recent development around the world about the climate change. So we are fully committed to reduce our carbon emission footprint and intensity. And we are also very, very committed to social value. So if we enter a new country like Mexico, we want to leave a legacy and we want to support the community we are operating in. So it's very important to us, and it's how we drive our business. So let me go to the next one. So if you can see. So I know it's a lot of pictures, on the slide, so I'm going to go through it. So once again, BHP, we entered the Mexico business following the energy reform in 2016. So we went through a bid round and we were obviously successful in getting equity in Trion. So in Trion, we are the operator with 60% equity, and Pemex is our partner with 40% equity. So this field is quite unique, I have to say, because it's very remote. It's located right south of the US-Mexico border. So it's about 30 kilometers south of it. And it's about like roughly 200 kilometers of the Mexico coastline, I would say, east of Matamoros. So it's not much infrastructure in this region, which is a big challenge for us because we cannot, like in the Gulf of Mexico, US side, connect to existing pipeline or infrastructure. But the reservoir is very good. It's not very, very deep, like it could be in the Gulf of Mexico, US side again. So yeah, it's a very, very ultra deep water. You can see the field vary between 1,700 meters of water to 2,500 meters of water. So it's very deep. And if you look at the cartoon at the bottom of the page, if the facility was to sit on the top of the Mexico skyline, that will be the distance. So it's pretty high up in the sky. So just to give you an idea of the magnitude and the complexity of this project, if we were to like line up or joint all our mooring line together, they will cross Mexico City. So that's very, very important. And another big challenge for us as well is really about the seabed or the topography. There is a lot of mountain and cliff, and it's creating some technical challenge for anchoring our facility, to the seabed. So yeah, it's quite complex, and we are very excited to go and make sure we can develop the field. So as far as the development concept, we completed an program. We started in 2017, and we did complete it in 2019. Then we had done enough work. We did actually, Pemex did discover the field in 2012 and made, I think they had 3 penetration, 2 wells and 1 sidetrack. And then when we got the equity and became the operator, we continued with the appraisal program. We did drill 2 wells and 1 sidetrack as well. So if you look at the field itself, we've got 6 penetration, which give us high level of confidence of what we've got in the ground. It's very, very important. And then following the appraisal program, we decided to move the project into our development study phase. And we started the journey about 2 years ago in August 2019. So the key activity for us was really to define what is the development concept. And now we've got one, it's been fully approved internally and approved by Pemex as well, our partner. And we are moving forward with this concept. So it's pretty typical of what you see in Deepwater in the Gulf of Mexico. So it's a subsea development connected to a floating facility. So it's a semi-submersible that will be processing and treating oil, gas, and water and doing all the separation. So the subsea or the well fluid will be connected, obviously, like in the reservoir, and then will be flowing to the facility through 2 flow lines. Then, once again, all the fluid will be separated into this FPU, and oil will be transported or transferred to that FSO, which will be 6 kilometers away from the main facility. Then oil will be stored and offloaded for export, Mexico, Gulf of Mexico, US side again, and possibly Asia as well. When it comes to the gas, after processing, most of the gas will be re-injected into the reservoir. So, and I explain why later on. And some gas will be exported as well. So either in Mexico, but we've got also an option across the US border. So it's something we are still working. We want to make a decision pretty soon because we need to progress, this decision, but it's definitely one of the options. So if you look at the reservoir itself, I'm going to move this. Yeah. The reservoir itself is quite complex. This reservoir requires pressure support from day one. So initially, when we look at the field, we knew we had to inject water to make sure we are not, like this oil was not becoming gas too early. So we did some further analysis, like core analysis, scan analysis. And over the last few months, at least a year ago, we decided that we will also be injecting gas on the top of the crest of this reservoir to make sure we maintain the pressure and can recover as much oil as we can, because that's a valuable product, for this field. And about 94% of the resource or reserve are oil in Trion, which is very great. So these two, I would say, this secondary recovery mechanism are key for the development for it to be successful. If we don't make that work properly, we're going to have a risk of low reserve, of low recovery factor. So something we're actively pursuing, actively working to make sure we got the design right and we can deliver on what we promised. So we did a lot of optimization of the field development plan. So if you look at the well count, we've got 27 wells. So it's going to be a pretty extensive drilling program starting in late 23, possibly 24. So it's 14 producers, 10 injectors, water injectors, and 3 gas injectors. So this well will be drilled by phases. So we'll try to get 8 producers, 3 injectors for water and 1 for gas at startup. And then we continue the drilling after we got and gather some information from the reservoir to optimize the well placement. So that's our plan. So we look at what will be the optimum nameplate capacity based on the profile. So we landed on 100,000 barrels of oil per day, but we've got optimization on the design where we can flex it when we got no water to go possibly to 120, 130. So early years, we could keep up the plateau with no water around 5 to 6 years. So then we're looking at water production coming from the well. So it's a 60,000 barrel of treatment of water per day, but we can extend it in late life to 90. And we are planning to inject 140,000 barrels of treated water. So this water will be treated, will not be direct seawater, and will be also sulfate free. And the gas, what I mentioned before, most of it will be reinjected. So the full capacity is 145 million scf. And you see 133 million scf of this gas will be rejected into the reservoir. So, which is pretty good for the investment and for the project, because obviously sending or exporting all the gas was a big kind of an issue for us. We are struggling to find the right location to export the gas. So with a limited export now, that gives us more optionality and simple solution for this gas. So that's pretty much where we are today. So I want to make sure I didn't forget any key information, but I think it's pretty much it. Yeah, a lot of people have been asking me, why do you have 2 floaters and not 1 FPSO? So it's once again driven by the water injection and gas injection. If we had continued with an FPSO like we were looking at initially, the turret, which is like a system, a device to disconnect the floating facility in case of hurricane, will have been the biggest in the world and with pressure that never been made before. So it was too much of a risk for the investment for BHP and Pemex. So we decided to decouple it and have a semi-submersible, obviously, and an FSO. So that's the basis for our development plan. And the design life is about like 30 years. It could be extended, but we are designing for 30 years right now. And I think I've covered pretty much everything on this one. Okay, just to give you a quick highlight of what we've done. So once again, started the journey in 2019, August, 2 years ago, by the day, completed the appraisal program, which once again gives us a high confidence of what we've got in the ground. It's very important because it's really the basis for the investment. And we also are very proud of it. We did complete the first ocean bottom nodes seismic survey in Mexico. So we had already very good imagery and from the seismic data. So very, very clear, compared to what we see in the Gulf of Mexico on the other side, because there is no salt. But we wanted to optimize it, and especially for future well placement. So this was done late last year, early in 2021. It was completed in early 21. We are analyzing the results, and we should be able to inform our future decision with it, like by the end of the year. So there's a lot of work underpinning the FDP, like we call it. But our target is to complete this FDP by the end of this year of 2021, work with Pemex, get JV approval, both BHP and Pemex, and then present it to CNH in 22. So we are planning to do some early engagement in the first quarter of next year, and we are targeting final approval by CNH in 2022. So before going into the rest of it, I just wanted to see where we are. So over the last 2 years, we progressed quite well the investment. And we are actually going to our second investment decision. We call it day 2, you can see it on the slide. So we are presenting the business case to our board of directors in August. We got already multiple endorsements within the company to continue with the project. So I think we're going to be successful to continue into the study work, in the last phase of the study work. Then per the contract requirement, we'll most likely be issuing a declaration of commerciality. So between, I would say, September and the end of the year. And then very, very quick after that, we're going to go to our final investment decision in the middle of 22, possibly the third quarter of 22. So it's coming pretty fast. The last phase of study, like definition phase, is pretty aggressive. And we still have a lot of work to do, but we've got a good foundation. We've built up a lot of good work in identification and selection. And then after we get final investment decision, the plan is to go into execution. And our target is to deliver this project first oil by late 25, early 26. So it's unrisked on a deterministic basis. So we've got a risk schedule as well, but that will be our target. And people are asking about the cost. So it's a mega project. It's a big investment for both Pemex and BHP. The cost will be between $7 and $10 billion. Obviously, we are aiming for the 7 because we like to stay on the low end of it. But there is a lot of risk associated with project of this magnitude. So that's our range so far. And we'll continue to work, with Pemex, with our contractors to make sure we can narrow the range and deliver this project with a lower cost. So I talked about the FDP. So what's happening right now you may have seen in the press, we did award the FPU FEED contract to a company called McDermott. So that was a major milestone for the project because the FPU, or the semi-submersible, is definitely the critical path for the project. That's driving pretty much the full program. So being able to select a contractor like McDermott with a lot of capabilities after an extensive 14 months design competition was very, very rewarding for me and my team. And it was well supported by Pemex as well. And like I said before, we've got a lot of tendering work going on. We need to work about the marine incident contract, which is a surf equipment contract installation. So we're going to be going out for tender later this year. And same thing for the rig contract and the service contract for drilling. We're going to be tendering all this scope of work between probably third quarter of this year, end of the year, and early next year. So a lot of work being done, but definitely our target is to get ready for a final investment decision and ready for execution middle of next year, third quarter of next year. And very important, underpinning the decision is making a final decision on the pipeline route, like either in Mexico or alternatively in the US. But we've got the plan. We're working with midstream company to help us in this space, and we should be able to make the decision in due time. Okay, so I just want to spend a few minutes about the power of collaboration. I work in my career about a lot of JV with a major company, like all company. And if you haven't got a good relationship with your partner, it's very difficult to progress investment of this size. So for me, the foundation of our success is really the collaboration with Pemex. And for me, it should be based on trust and respect. And I think we've done a very good job to get to know each other over the last 2 years. And I think we're achieving great things together because we trust each other, we work together, we are aligned on a business and project objective, and we engage early. So my commitment to Pemex is I will never bring them a decision for sign-off without engaging with them so early in the process. So it's an engagement, it's an involvement of all of my team, to make sure we keep Pemex fully informed of the key decision, but it's really paying off and we're working well together. And for me, the key is really about treating your partner the way you want to be treated. Very, very important. And also we learn from Pemex. Mexico is a new country for us. Pemex got a long history of Mexico, obviously, and they can provide a lot of feedback and knowledge and help us navigate sometimes through the regulatory ambiguity or helping us with local contracting and so on. But the result is last year we had a lot of decisions to make, and we did approve together about more than 45 key decisions for a project of this size. So it's quite remarkable, and I cannot be more proud of the relationship with Pemex. Another commitment we've made, obviously, for the project is about technology transfer. So we know that Pemex has got limited experience in Deepwater. So under the term of the license and GOA, we've got obviously an obligation to look at technology transfer, but it's not an obligation, it's more a commitment because it's something we want to do. So we've got 3 pillars to take care of it. We've got the knowledge transfer, the capability development, and see how can we invest with university, to make sure we get people to know more about what we do and how to do it. So we spend a lot of time with Pemex and with university to work about reservoir characterization and planning. And this one is a two-way street because we've got a way of interpreting the data, but other company, they know about it too. So it's more about sharing the knowledge and best practices to make sure we get the best of the evaluation. So it's ongoing with Pemex, with universities, so it is very good. So we believe that we are proven operator in the Gulf of Mexico. We're operating Shenzi and Neptune. So we've got a big interest to share it with our partners. So for the design, the execution and operation. So we had some secondees from Pemex in our team initially during the appraisal. And right now we're actively seeking more secondees to come and join us. Especially now it's critical. That's a key study work being done before we go to execution. So there is a big advantage to train the people and for them to get the knowledge that's required to develop field of this complexity. Then we look at, there's a lot of training. So we started actually a rock physics course like a couple of weeks ago, and it became very popular. So we did it with the university, and we also training people from Pemex. More than 150 people have participated to this training. So it's very well received, and for us, it's very enjoyable to see the people embracing that, getting new knowledge and learning about what could be done, in this field. And we want to engage as well with the oil and gas industry through conference like this, summit, and also with local companies. We know there is limited capabilities in Mexico about Deepwater, but we've got a commitment as well to make sure we develop some of the companies who can really help us, for the project or maybe for operation, because Trion will be in operation for 30 plus years. So it's definitely some opportunity in this space as well. And we are, like I said before, working with university, research and investments. We've got annual scholarship. We've got sponsorship with university. And we're looking at internship and getting more of these people coming to our Mexico office and, if possible, coming to our Houston office as well. Because right now, most of the work, not only from BHP, but from the contractor, is being done in Houston with some work being done in Mexico and other countries. So that's a big commitment for BHP, and it's very important. It's underpinning our success as well. And like I mentioned before, like through the introduction, social value is very important for BHP. It's a core value now. Actually, we have to report to the corporation what's being done in this space. So we did a lot of work over the last 3 years to make sure the community we are operating in are benefiting from our presence. So for sure, it was exploration program. So we've established a couple of programs to support it. But as we progress more with the project, we want to do more, especially when it comes to training the people and developing the industry. So that's very, very important. And I think we can do more in this space, and that's another commitment for us. But I wanted to thought, yeah. So as far as initiative, we look at, obviously Caritas de Tampico. So what can we do to provide like some meals, some training, and healthcare to the people that need it in Tampico or the state of Tamaulipas. So that's very important to us. We've got local association and foundation working with us to make sure some people can benefit from it. We're also working with, like, obviously some school and university, so we can support some students to get into this industry and later contribute to the oil and gas and deep water. And as you know, the pandemic has been a big impact, in our life, in the global economy. So, and I know in some community in Mexico, it was difficult for the kids to go to school, to stay connected with their teachers. So what we did, I think I'm very proud of it as well. We did invest, in a program, and we actually provided like 800 laptops to teachers and students so they can continue to study and continue to stay connected. So I think that was very well received, and I think it was needed. We know people are suffering from the pandemic, and where we can help, we want to help. So that's fine. So I'm not going to go through all the initiative, but just want to show you that's quite important for me and important for the company as well, and important for Trion. So that's pretty much the sake of my presentation. So in summary, Trion is a very important investment and project for BHP to grow our petroleum business. It's important for Pemex, first being the first development in Mexico, important for the country as well. So we've got a big undertaking, a lot of challenges in front of us, but I can tell you, us at BHP, in my team, Pemex, the subcontractors, we are all super committed about this one and very excited about the bright future in front of us. So that's my presentation. I think I went over a little bit, but we can go to Q&A.
Thank you, Stefan. It was very interesting to see how much you have going on in your project right now. And I'm sure, well, in the future, we will hear even more positive outcomes from the project. We have a lot of questions from our audience. Our audience is very excited to hear from you. So I'm just gonna try to, ask you as much as we can and try to filter them a bit, okay? So the first one will be, what challenges have you faced in Trion which you will consider to be entirely unique to that project?
Yeah, there are a few. I think I've addressed some of them, like through the presentation. So the first one is ultra deep water. So we've got some issues with flow assurance. How do we get the fluid from the reservoir to the facility? And especially like when it comes to restarting the facility, so it becomes very, very cold, and there is a lot of issue with hydrate. So we can actually plug our flow line. So we are looking actively over the flow assurance management system, what kind of chemical we have to inject into the reservoir, but that's very, very specific from this kind of field. The other one is really the reservoir complexity, a lot of faulting, so it's driving the well count, and actually the requirement for secondary recovery mechanism. It's not many fields where you have to inject water and gas at the same time, create some complication, obviously, like in a design, and it's driving the cost of the facility. This facility on the top side will be about 20,000 metric tons, and the overall floating will be about 50,000. So it's a large facility, really driven by this complication. So that's something we are looking at. So they are the two big ones. And the fact that because of this two requirements for pressure support, we couldn't go with an FPSO. So one of the complications for this field is we've got two floaters. So one floater is quite complicated, but we've got two. So I know one is more complex than the others, but that's a big challenge for us. So they are really the specific one. And the other one is really the seabed. I mean, for sure, for us, if you could de-risk the investment and prelay a lot of the subsea infrastructure would be great, but because of the topography, it's going to be difficult. So we're going to have to wait for the facility to come on site before being able to lay down a lot of equipment. So, but we're working on it.
Okay, you learn while you do, no? So that's basically the industry going on. Okay, so as a second question, it's related to the last one, but it's more I want you to tell me more of a anecdote. What are some lessons learned that you can share with us?
I've got plenty, so I'll have to pick those. So even in 2 years, we've learned quite a lot. What's very important for to understand for people is for big project like this one. You know, if you look at the industry trend, like many studies being done, I hate to say it, but 80% of these projects fail. I mean, they are not being delivered on cost and schedule. So for me, the big lessons learned when I took over, like after the appraisal program, was a lot of pressure internally and externally to go faster. When can we get first oil? And I think I was strong enough to say, no, we need to take the time. So it's about the lessons learned is to do the right work at the right time, in the right sequence. Because if you design a facility that cannot even process the subsurface or what the fluid you got in the reservoir, then I think you're fooling ourselves. So for us, that was really the big lessons learned, to make sure that we do the right work in the right sequence, because otherwise we'll be ahead of ourselves and we'll be very exposed on the back end. Another one is really something we've learned is sometimes we wait too long to engage with the industry so they can propose their solution. So we did actually spend and invest a lot of money as well early on to work with multiple contractors to come up with an execution plan that will be the best, for this development. So that's why we went through an extensive design competition for both the FSO and FPU. And we believe that by the all engagement with the industry, we've got the best plan that we can think of right now for this development. So that was already the two big ones I can share with you. Okay,
great. What are the benefits from working with Pemex?
Yeah, so Pemex, for sure, I've been very impressed, obviously by the capabilities of the people at Pemex. Especially when it comes to reservoir characterization, analysis. So the benefits for us, we have to face it. Mexico is a new country for us. So we know about Deepwater, but we can really, really leverage on their experience. So, they've been telling us a lot, they've been sharing with us a lot of good information about the reservoir. And I can tell you they were spot on, they were right. So the engagement is key, and working with them, they are really helping us out to get better. And the fact as well, there's some, as you know, there's competition in Mexico. It's complicated, sometimes bureaucratic, like when it comes to approval or regulatory. So they've got all this experience, they've got the connection, so they are already advising us, informing us, and I think the partnership has been great. So for me, I see it as really as a win-win situation for both companies. And once again, the alignment on business driver, business project objective are key. And so it's been a good adventures right now with Pemex.
Great. And the next one will be, how would you describe the state of available legacy data when you first were introduced to the Trion project?
Yeah, so I think I've covered it a little bit partially, but it's very important. Like Pemex did discover the field in 2012. So for us, actually, we are very proud to actually help Pemex and Mexico to go and develop this Deepwater development. But that's really their discovery. So they had a lot. They did 3 penetration, and it was a lot of logs available, core analysis, dynamic testing. So really help us to actually formulate what should be the appraisal program. And I can tell you, based on the results of the following well that we drilled through our own appraisal program, all these logs were actually spot on. It's really helping us to narrow down the uncertainty in the reservoir. There's a lot of them through the permeability and others. And all this information were invaluable for us to be able to put a program that makes sense. We knew many wells to drill, where to drill them, where were the risks, and where we had to look at to eliminate some of the risks. So I can tell you that this information were absolutely very, very good for us. And they were correct, which is more important.
For sure. Okay, so Trion has both an exploration and appraisal plan. Where are you in the exploration phase?
Yeah, so first of all, I go with the appraisal plan. So the appraisal plan, like I said many times, we're complete. We had a commitment to drill 1 well, we drilled 2. We got all the study work done. So actually, we've completed the appraisal plan in June of this year, so a month ago. Now we are doing all the reporting, and we should be wrapped up, obviously, by September, which will be like actually aligned with issuing the declaration of commerciality. So this is behind us. On the exploration program, we're still working with Pemex. So what we've got as a commitment, we still have to drill one more well. So we haven't done it. We're still having a lot of discussion right now. What's the best location in the block to drill this exploration well? And for us, what's more importantly, we've invested a lot of money as well and time in this OBN survey. So we want to make sure we got the result to look at the right prospect to drill. So there is a lot of work to be done in this space. We're going to be continuing the engagement with Pemex to make sure we find a right location to drill this well. So the plan for us is to wrap it up per the requirements in late 22. But we are actively working on it internally and with our partners because it's important to continue. It's a big block, and we need to look at making sure we're not missing any opportunity in this block.
Great, great. I'm gonna do two more. So this one is, what do you find most interesting about exploring in Mexico?
I mean, for us, that's what's interesting. It's first of all, when you go to a new country, is very exciting. I think people were a bit scared initially, like about going to Mexico because there was about the unknown, and something we have to be very careful ourselves because we did a lot of work in the US side. So people, they try to replicate it, but it's not the same country, it's not the same jurisdiction, and so on. So there's a lot of differences and challenges, which is quite good. But what's very good for us as a project team and for the corporation is really with a lot of firsts. So we drill one of the first deepwater well in the Gulf, might be the first deepwater development in Mexico. So we get the first permit for cutting discharge offshore. So we are chasing a lot of firsts. So for us, it's make it very exciting for the team, for myself. I mean, like we say, our purpose is really to, make history, think big in Mexico and leave a legacy so we can, by delivering this project. So that's why we're so excited. And I can tell you our job is very, very interesting because there's something always new, something new happening because it's new for all of us. So that's why it goes back to our partnership with Pemex and the industry in Mexico. Sometimes we don't have all the answers. So all this engagement are very beneficial to us or for us.
Great. And just to close the session, what's your advice to local companies that would like to become part of BHP's supply chain? What local capabilities you see the country needs to develop for projects like Trion?
Yes, as something we are actively working on. So we've got a local content requirement, like in our contract. So right now it's about 3%. Then we go, when the FDP is approved, it's about 4% and 10% in operation. But our goal is definitely to exceed it. So right now, with my team, and with Pemex as well, we're actively exploring what are the capabilities in Mexico for fabrication, for supply, and so on. So there are some facilities or companies that are not too far off, from being able to deliver some of the kit or equipment that we need or able to do fabrication. So we've got a commitment to definitely work with them, see where we can invest our money and effort to make sure that they get there. But also they need to understand and need to engage with us to make sure that to understand our standards, because obviously there is a lot of risk doing business in deep water. Obviously like a floating facility like this one, you're moving a lot of molecules, oil and gas, so a lot of risk of explosion and so on. So we do a very good job to manage all this risk, but there is a certain level of standard and quality that needs to be met to be able to compete in this space. So I think it will be for the suppliers to come and see us, talk to us, we can assess their capabilities and we can work together to develop, obviously a plan for the next few years so they can be ready to support us in the future.
Great, Stefan. I'm sure a lot of our participants are very happy to hear that and are willing to work with you in this very successful project.
So far it's been, so we need to continue.
Of course, of course. And next year you will tell us everything you achieved, of course.
That's fine, yes.
Well, thank you so much, Stefan, for this participation. We invite you to keep on in Brela, to keep on talking with our participants and keep on sharing some ideas. And we'll just keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.